Okay, so today we're going to talk about how the author uses reason to support specific points. Before we do that, I want for you guys to do a turn talk. Now, before you already turn to your buddy, listen to complete instructions. So everybody, I want you to place everything in front of you so that you and your turn and talk buddy have enough room to move around. So place everything directly in front of you. Okay? Because Wilson's going to walk through, so I have to be careful. All right, so what would you and your turn and talk buddy are going to have 2 minutes to talk about what you would change. So if Miss Wilson can change things, some things that I mean, like free dress every Friday. Wait a minute. After math testing, we'd have a game truck. If you could change anything, what would you change? How would you change it? Are you ready?
Yes.
You and your turn to talk buddy have 2 minutes. Go. All right, so what Miss Wilson needs is for everybody to be what?
Tracking speaker.
We should be what?
Tracking the speaker.
And what else should we be doing? Sitting in what?
Class.
Should we have pencils in our hand?
No.
Should we be touching our notebook?
No.
Should we be touching our book?
No.
Should we be touching our board?
No.
We should be doing what?
Tracking the speaker.
And doing what?
Sitting in class.
Very good. All right, so Miss Wilson heard some really funny, but some great things to change. I heard, can I tell you guys some things I heard?
Yes.
So I heard an ice cream truck. I heard sprinkles to put on cupcake day. I heard swimming lessons. I heard a lot of things about a lot of food. I heard a game truck. I also heard some computer classes. I heard some changing of the world ideas. We heard a lot of great things from her friends. So, now that we've discussed change, we're going to go really deep. So everyone, we're going to go really, look, track Miss Wilson. We're going to go really deep into our story. We're going to do what?
Really deep.
We're going to do what?
Really deep.
We're going to explore into our story. So, what are we exploring? I didn't say pick up your book. What are we we're gonna explore into, and Miss Wilson said it, but I'm gonna say it again, I'm gonna say it with me. We're going to explore.
We're going to explore
how you use reasons from the author to support specific points. Now, that point sounds very familiar. So when we hear the word points, we think of what word? We think of two words. What do we think of? Key point, or what else? Key what?
Detail.
What are key details? Can someone tell Miss Wilson what key details are? Chelsea. They're mostly about the story. Okay. So they're mostly about, are they mostly about the illustrations? Are they mostly about the text? What are they mostly about? It's important information in the text. Well, what do the key details do? Yes, Elijah. You're bleeding? Okay. How did you start? Okay. So what I want you to do is go to, I'm going to send you to the nursing unit Band-Aid. So what exactly do key details do? They explain something. What do they do? Jada, what do they do? About the text, but it's a word we're missing or a phrase we're missing. We do this all the time. Cartier? Yeah, we're going around it. Let Miss Wilson help you. What is it? Okay, but the key details explain the main idea. Oh, I'm going to have some of my friends not tracking me. It's explaining the what?
Main idea.
Oh, so if we can do main idea and we can do key details, we can do author's point because they're very much alike. It's the author supports his or her key details. One second. Okay. Come on, Elijah. Ava, will you take him to the nurse, please? There you go. Alrighty, guys. Back to us. So the author supports his or her point with key details or key points. Isn't that it's very much like main idea, key details. So we can do this, right?
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So I want you to take your book, put it in your hand, and I want you to open up to page 11. Okay? You'll know that you're at page 11 because you're here. How will I know that you're on page 11? Your what? I didn't hear you say it. Your thumb will be up. All right, guys, let's pause for a second. So today's criteria for success is students can identify the author's point and use the reasons that support it. Ms. Wilson is looking for you to be able to know the author's point and the reasons why. So you see here, I drew the author. Isn't she pretty?
Yes.
You know Ms. Wilson's gonna draw her. So here we put the author's point, and the author's point is supported by what are these? Reasons, which is very much like main idea, key detail, though it is very, very similar, but we're going for the author's point, okay? All right, so everyone is on page 11, correct?
Yes.
All right, guys, so let's read it all together. From it.
It is because 100 years ago, President Lincoln helped to free the people who were slaves. It was during the South.
When we actually read a story, are we tracking with our finger?
Yes.
So Ms. Wilson's waiting because a few of her friends are not tracking with their finger. So I'm going to wait for everyone to be tracking with their finger. Let's start from the beginning because I want to make sure we don't miss anything because we are looking for the what?
Key No, we're looking for. Let's say it together. What are we looking for? And what else? The R word. What is it? Let's say it again. We're looking for the author's what? And the what? Oh, I didn't hear everybody. We're looking for the author's what? Very good. All right, let's start from the beginning. It is?
It is because 100 years ago, President Lincoln helped to free the people who were slaves. It was during the Civil War. President Lincoln knew that slavery had to end. Now it is 1963. There has been no slavery for a long time. But are black people and white people treated equally? No.
So guys, the first thing is when we're looking for the author's point and we're looking for reasons, you can use text features. That's pictures, captions, table of contents, headings. Is there a picture that goes with this?
Yes.
What is the picture of?
Abraham Lincoln.
A statue. The other thing that we can see is let's look for words that are repeated. Let's look for words that are repeated. So let's read it one more time. It is because
100 years ago, President Lincoln helped to free the people who were slaves. It was during the Civil War. President Lincoln knew that slavery had to end. Now it is 1963.
there has been no slavery for a long time. But are black
people and white people treated equally? No.
So, what words do we hear in this text a lot? It's some words that we hear. No, a little bit more. We see President Lincoln. Let's give her a snap for making that connection. What's another one we see a lot? Some words in there once. Slavery. So we see Abraham Lincoln and slavery. So we know this is going to be part of the author's what? Author's what? Author's what? So the author's point is going to probably do something with slavery and President Lincoln. Now, let's go deep into the text. Let's explore. So we know what tells us that slavery is probably over at this point in time. I need you to find it in the text and show me. So we know that there's been no slavery for a long time. Is it talking possibly about Abraham Lincoln ending slavery?
Yes.
Okay, so the author is telling you that slavery is ended. It hasn't happened for a long time. But what is the author's point? Is that even though slavery is over, what?
Black people and white people are not equal.
Now, we also named some reasons to support that, but I want to see if we can get it together. So let's go through. So black people and white people are still not treated equally. Okay? Slavery is over. So let's get some reasons. How does the reason help us understand the key point? So we just stated reasons, though we didn't label it. And we stated what the author's point was. So how does this reason help understand the key point? How can we look at the different things that we talked about? No, the author's point was that black people and white people are treated the same. So we said President Lincoln ended slavery. Is that important?
Yes.
Okay. It says 100 years ago he freed the slaves. Okay. It says there's no more slavery. So that lets you know that even though things have changed drastically, are things still equal?
No.
No. Okay. Let's turn to the next page.
So now, we know we can use text features to find out what the author's what is?
Purpose.
Points. What are we looking for? We're looking for the author's what?
Point.
Author's what?
Point.
I don't hear everybody, and I don't see everyone tracking me. I need for Cartier to say correctly. We're looking for the author's what?
Point.
Author's what?
Point.
Author's what?
Point.
And the reason that the point support the author's point. We're looking for the author's what?
Point.
Author's what?
Point.
Let's look at the pictures. So on the pictures, I see some things. What do you see? Let's use the pictures before we go into the text. We see people protesting. But what else? You don't just see protesters. There's so much happening here. And these are text features. We have to be able to look at this before we even look at the text. We know how to do this. Because we're trying to figure out the author's what?
Point.
The author's what?
Point.
Let's see, I have lots of them. Michaela, what do you see in the picture? They're holding up signs, so they're protesting. What else, Chelsea?
It's a man holding a sign that says I'm American also.
We see a sign with a man saying I'm an American also. Why would he have to hold up that sign? He's already here. Are we getting, come on guys, we're getting those juices flowing. The authors, we're getting to the author's trying to tell us something. Chris?
What was the question?
The question was, what do you see in the picture? Okay. Zariah? Okay, we'll come back. Elijah, what do you see? No, it's all nationalities. I'm looking for something else. Go ahead.
They're protesting against slavery.
Are they protesting against slavery?
I mean, blacks and whites being treated equally.
Okay, so let's look at the signs. One of the signs says, "We march for civil rights." What is a civil right? What did everyone say together? What is civil rights? Okay, so is she correct?
Yes.
We demand voting rights now. We march for jobs for all now. So they're talking about equality, right? Okay, let's read the text together. And
that is why people are in Washington today. They have come to protest. They will speak out against something they think is wrong.
let's read again because some of my friends were not tracking. So I'm going to go ahead and take that excellent from Ava so she won't be distracted. And I need to see everyone's index finger. First, put it up. Make it wiggle. Put it on the page. And let's start from the beginning. And that
is why people are in Washington today. They have come to protest. They will speak out against something they think is wrong.
So, what is the key point? We've used text features. We didn't see headings, but we saw the signs. So what is the key point here? What is the author's key point? Genesis?
That people are protesting against the white people and black people equally.
That they're protesting against them not being treated equally? Is Genesis right?
Yes.
So what words do we see there? We see protest. We see people, of course. What do we see? I need to see hands.
Washington.
We see Washington. Okay. So we know where they are. Okay.
Segregated.
We see the word segregated a lot, don't we? So what is the key point? What is the key point? We see that word a lot. All over the posters and protests. Go ahead. Carolina?
They wanted segregation.
Is she correct? Is that what you were going to say? So that means we're all on the same track. So what the author's point was, They were here on this day to fight against what? So what reasons in the text do we see? So I want you to do a turn talk to your turn talk. Oh, don't move yet, freeze. Where you and your partner are going to discuss the reasons of how we came to find out the author's point. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Go ahead, I'm going to walk around. Seriously, timer for 2 minutes.
That people are coming to speak out against segregation and fight for integration.
But you have to use what your text features are and what you see in the text. Okay? Your text features and what you see in the text. Only those things. Go ahead, guys. I'll want to hear. Tell me how do you know? How do you know? We figured it out what the author's point was. Even though we know, what reason she chose to know? We saw it in the pictures, and we saw it in the text. Speak out again, but you got to be able to tell me where. I got it on the tree where to find it.
I was trying to teach
Seconds.
You keep saying me. Is this the man? I keep asking.
20 seconds. Where do you see the text? I see it on the board. So we have to take what we see and we have to find it. All right. So I was listening as I was walking around, and I heard some of my buddies say some good things, and then I heard some confusion. And what we want to do is we want to clarify any confusion, because I want to make sure that when you do your exit ticket, you have an understanding. So when you go to 3rd grade, you'll be like, shh, that's easy peasy. Miss Wilson taught me that. So when you're looking for the author's point, we already see it. We already know the author's point, because that's easy. You have to give me reason. You have to be able to have proof. You have to be able to back it up. You have to be a detective. I'm waiting for Miss Jacone. You have to be able to prove it. We know the point that the author's trying to make is that they're here to fight against segregation, and they wanted equality. But we have to be able to use it. So you can use the words: speak out against, come to protest, and it says, and this is why people came to Washington D.C. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Those are the reasons. All right, let's go to another page. Turn to page 19. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to get there. I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm waiting for a start at 6. How will I know that you're there?
You don't know.
7, 8, 9, 10. All right, all my friends should be sitting correctly, and they should be on the page. All right, so let's look at this page. Before we even look at the text, let's look at the page. What does the illustration have in it? What does this picture specifically have? What's going on in this picture? Yes. So it says colored in white, okay? And we see two separate fountains. Do they look the same?
No.
What's different about them? One is smaller than the other. All right, guys, let's read together from which. Go ahead.
Which of these fountains looks nicer to you?
Stop. There's no day. It's just that. So the author put a statement in the text. I need to subtract. The author put a statement in the text. It says, which of these fountains looks nicer to you? What was the author's point saying? Why does the author ask that question? What is the author's point? Elijah. Right. So what Elijah said was, you can see how blacks and whites were not treated equally. How one was treated better than the other. Is he right?
Yes.
What are the reasons that we know this? Elijah's right, but what are the reasons? How do we know this? You need to go to the restroom? Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead. Very good. Did you all see any reasons and the author's point?
Yes.
I think you did. Give yourself a synapse. All right, so we already have our TDQs open. Let's go ahead and go over some questions. So let's go and look at question 1. Go ahead and put your board in your lap. Let me give you a few seconds to make sure that you're there. And put your hand out on top of it because you already have it open. Because we are persisting today. Alrighty. So, the first question says, why does the author ask the question, right? On page what?
19.
Do we know this already?
Yes.
Go ahead and answer that for Ms. Wilson, please. Mr. Estrada, if you could turn around and join your classmates and do your handout, that'd be great. You can't find your pencil, Mr. Estrada, but you brought it with you. Get it over. I'm going to walk around because I'm looking for my friends who are working because this entire front row, they are persisting. Ms. Bolden, you don't have your hand out in your hand. I need you to be persisting. Come on. Thank you, Mr. Cone, bringing your own pencil sharpener to the target to make sure your pencil is sharpened. I think it's pretty good though. You can go ahead and whiteboard. It's all the way to the back level. Your pencil is scared. We have some. All right, let's look at question 2. Cartier, can you read question 2 for us?
What reasons support a key point on page 14 through 15?
Say it for me again, Cartier.
What reasons support a people on page 14 through 15? How do we support the point?
Do we know how to do that?
Yes.
Let's do that one together. Because I'm going to have you guys do number 3. We're going to check it. All right. So when you're done with number 1, go ahead and put your thumb up and open up your book to this page, 14, 15. All right, guys, I'm giving you 30 more seconds, and we're going to go on to number 2. $20, 10, 'All right, guys, let's take a moment. You can finish later if you have not, but most of you have. So go ahead, pencils down. On your right, pencils down. Douche. So what I want you to do is put in your lap. You should be sitting crisscross applesauce. Put the book in front of your lap. Let's go over pages. What?
14 and 15.
Very good. And what are we looking for? The author's what?
Point.
The author's what?
Point.
The author's what?
Point.
The author's what?
Point.
So I'm waiting because a few of my friends are not persisting. Thank you for making the correction. Miguel, you're not on the page, so we're going to wait for you. Very good. Oh, Miguel. Right there. All right. So first thing we want to do is use the text feature. So the first thing we want to do is look at the picture. What do we see happening in the picture? Elijah. Let's hold him up first. We see what? Is it a regular store?
No.
How do we know it's not a regular store? Corey?
It says white only.
Because it says white only, right?
Yeah.
Let's read it together. In the South?
In the South and in some other states, there are laws to keep black people and white people apart. Black people cannot eat in many restaurants
Or stay in many hotels. So we see a picture of a white-only Washingtonian. And then we read the text. What is the author's point? I want you to tell me, what was the author's point? I'm waiting on this stuff. I need more hands. Let's read it again. Because I don't see enough hands, so I don't know if we know this. So let's read it again. All together. In the South?
In the South
And some other states, there are laws to keep black people and white people apart. Black people cannot eat in many restaurants or stay in many hotels. What is the author's point? The black people and white people had to be apart, but where specifically? It gave us a location this time. Where? Where? Elijah? No. Where? Where is this actually happening?
In the South.
In the South. In the South. How do we know? What reasons tell us that they had to be apart? Because it says it. People, it says black people and white people had to be apart. So where in the text, what reasons let us know this? We saw it in the text feature. How else do we see it? There's a phrase there. They cannot eat in many restaurants or hotels. And there's one other sentence. That there are what? There were what? What else? Zariah? No, she's not ready. Go ahead. They're apart, but what keeps them apart? Cartier, it's a reason.
There were laws.
There were laws. So let's look at question 2. Let's look at question 2. Cartier, read question 2 for us again because you read it already, but let's say it again. What was the question 2?
What reasons support a key point on page 14 and 15?
So the first thing I want you to do is write down the key points. Go ahead. Write down the key points first. You know there's 2 key points that Ms. Wilson wants you to write down, right? Okay. Grace, I need you to get your pencil in number 2 part. Ms. Dominguez, keep writing. Good job, Ms. Bolden. Very good. All right. Now the second part. What is the author's point? Because it's been the same, but what's the author's point? Write it down so we can talk about it. Right, see, you wrote so big, so write it, the number 2 in that little box. I'm right underneath the question. You see what the question is for number 2? Write it in that box. You see where question 2 is? You see where it says 2? No. I need you. Thank you, Frank, but I need you to focus. Go ahead. So I see that a lot of my friends are completely finished. I'm going to give about 30 more seconds. We're going to go over it. And then you guys are going to go back to your seat and do your exit ticket. $20 seconds. seconds. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. Really quickly, what was the author's point of that page, of those 2 pages? What was the author's point? Miguel? Right, but I want you to speak a little bit more. Chris, what was the point? They couldn't be together, they had to be separate. And what Miguel said was a what? Starts with an R.
Reason.
Very good. I think you're ready for your activity. Can we give ourselves a round of applause? All right. Leave your board and your notebook. Take your handout. Your X ticket is already on your desk. Go and work on your X ticket. Only take with you your handout. Leave your book there. Take only your handout. Go to your desk and start on your X ticket.
Not the right.
Calmly, friends. Calmly. Calmly. I want, right now, what I'm focused on is your exit ticket. I want all of my friends in their seat working on their exit ticket. Right now, I want all of my friends in their seat working on their exit ticket. Right now, the only thing I'm focused on, not right now, is that you're working on your exit ticket. The only thing that I am focused on is what?
Working on your exit ticket.
What is Ms. Wilson focused on?
Working on your exit ticket.
All right. So your exit ticket says, because I'm walking around. Your exit ticket says what? Your exit ticket says identify one key point from the book in LK and explain how the author uses reason to support the key point. Go ahead. You may begin. I'm sorry, I need you not to be worried about that. I said focus on the exit ticket, remember? Only be doing your exit ticket. It's part of the year. I need you to only focus on your exit ticket. I need you only focus on your exit ticket. Very good. I only want you focused on your exit ticket. I only want you focused on your exit